because I think people are probably still sleeping. But I have been awake now for an hour and a half or so. And I went up on deck and I've been watching us sailing in here to Jamaica. Um, really, really beautiful coastline. It's clearly been a bit damp here still, which is interesting, but it was a lovely sunrise. The sunrise is fading away. I did a quick short this morning, but I'm actually on the Jamaican cellular network now, so that's kind of fun. But there you'll see the sunrise. We're obviously coming from east to west across the north side of this extremely historic island. We're in quite a unique position here in really the middle. I mean, it's obviously the western side of the Caribbean islands, but Jamaica sort of sits alone. We're south of Cuba. There were some big, big rollers overnight, which was fine for me, but I have to say my kids struggled. It got them up, woke him up a little bit, um, and so he just had to take it easy for a little while and come out. So he's still sleeping. So I just thought I would come outside on the deck here, and we are making our way into Falmouth, or Falmouth, I guess, in the local pronunciation. There are a few little raindrops just coming down. I'm not actually going to mind that too much, to be honest. Otherwise, it could just be so hot. But obviously, a hilly, densely green island with just a ton of history. Hi, Elise. Good morning to you, my friend. I just thought I would do a video here and just share it coming in. Like I say, Finn Toomey is sound asleep. Ain't that nice to see you there? So yeah, Finn is still sound asleep. I'm going to wake him up. We're docking officially in an hour. I can feel us. Now there's the front of the ship up there. You can see the bridge, but that is the port, the triangular port. So we're going to decide what we do when we get off the ship. By the way, I almost never recommend shore excursions from ships. Now, last summer, of course, I did a big cruise with just the loveliest group of people around the British Isles, and I took them out in every port. Except the only one I couldn't, I remember, was in Le Havre in France, and these are people who just loved everything and never complained, and they came back and were so exhausted because, of course, when you have 3,800 people on a ship and you take their excursions, not only are they horrendously expensive, but also, hey, Martine. Hi, I just went live. I didn't even say it anywhere. But you know, you have to put a sticker on and you get lined up in the theater. So we're going to get off. And usually when you come into a port, well, always really, there are a whole series of people offering local tours. So we're going to see. But I did want to just spend a little time. Now, I will do a tour this afternoon on Facebook Live. I've already scheduled it. My only problem is I thought I scheduled it for 2 o'clock local time. But Facebook is telling me I have it scheduled for 2 o'clock Central Time, which would be 1 Eastern. But anyway, I'll find out. I'll work it out, whatever time zone it is. But Jamaica is a complicated country. Of course, Kingston, the capital, is the other side of the island, right? So, sadly, because the place I really want to go is a place called Port Royal. Port Royal was essentially, well, it was the largest city in the Caribbean back in the 1700s. It was eventually wiped out by an earthquake and tsunami, and a lot of the religious types, which was very important, of course, through the colonial period as well, believed that was revenge from God because it was essentially the true pirate capital. So keep in mind, this was originally colonized by the Spanish, who were here just as they were over. If we were to look back up, the way we came down last night is Haiti and Hispaniola. Yeah, Hispaniola sort of straight out that way, and Cuba's up to the north. So Jamaica was visited by Christopher Columbus as well before he eventually ended up in Portobello. Feel free to look up one of my videos about, or my only video about Portobello in Panama. So the Spanish were here, and the wars went back and forth between the British, the French, everyone trying to control the Caribbean. Eventually, through a treaty, the British take over and start importing enslaved people, and that is because of sugarcane. So the economy here historically was just a brutal economy. It was either enslaved labor for sugarcane production, just was the case over in in Haiti and Martinique and the French holdings and the Spanish holdings in Cuba and Dominican Republic. And of course, you had people like Henry Morgan here, the buccaneers. So that was legalized piracy from here. So Jamaican state, now the historic indigenous inhabitants, the Arawak and Tairo peoples, were essentially wiped out. Now, this is some history that I really feel like I need to climb into a bit further, but the same groups, the same names you see throughout the Caribbean, and there's certainly some genetic history of the people. But what I understand is down in, well, up in Cuba, for example, apparently the story is that many indigenous people actually committed, this is heavy for the morning, but committed mass suicide because of the brutality and what they saw was coming enslavement. Um, so now, modern Jamaica, of course, this country is famous for producing the best sprinters in the world. Modern Jamaica has had the ebb and flow of a developing nation. It is said that the second largest Jamaican city after Kingston is actually North York or Greater Toronto. So that's important, but there's one of the many, many big resorts you have down here. So if we went east, you get to Ochos Rios, where you see the famous images of the crystal clear blue water. I think if we feel up to it today, we might try and head out to one of these beaches and go for a nice swim in the lovely, salty, and therefore very buoyant Caribbean. But I want to go in and climb into a lot of the architecture out here. I tried to enjoyed one talk yesterday from the cruise ship, which was quite good about, it was actually about Shackleton, but there was a previous one about this area. But I found that their management or discussion of the history of enslavement just was not up to par. And I know it's easy to be critical, but we don't really talk about people are not slaves, they are enslaved. You're not born a slave. Um, you are enslaved by other humanity, and of course, this is the heart and soul of that history. So, do you enjoy buoyant water, Martin? Me too. Boy, a lot of development around here. Some friends of mine who are financially much more empowered are coming down to a resort on the other side in a couple of weeks, and well, anyway, I don't need to give you their details, but apparently it is $1,500 a night. And that, again, normally being on these big ships isn't necessarily my style of travel. I like doing it in a big group, usually where I'm guiding or providing information because it's really fun that way. But this is just a nice little getaway. Now, this ship this time around is bursting at the seams. So, yesterday was a day at sea, and that was fun. But boy, oh boy, was it busy on board. So, it's a little bit different. But there is the port. It's only a 5-minute walk from town. Nice to see. I've read beautiful things about the port. There's Falmouth up there. And so the Jamaica's obviously an English-speaking country, but it's called Jamaican Creole as a language. And that has actually spread over to Limon, over to Panama. I have a friend in Panama who's a guide there, and she grew up speaking both English and Spanish, but English would have come from these Caribbean islands. So that was a huge part of that movement of people. Another people I'd like to mention who I think are just fascinating are the Garifuni people. They live now in Guatemala, in a town called Livingston, and they were people who just basically, to make a very long story short, refused to be enslaved. And I think the British just got tired of killing them. But they didn't liberate enslaved people till the 1830s here, and people were still trafficked right up to the 1860s and 70s throughout the Caribbean. So very important and meaningful history. And have a look out here. So it's nice and calm now. It wasn't really forecast to be this overcast, so it'll be interesting. So when we do leave here later today, then we'll have a day at sea tomorrow and get down to Cartagena in Colombia. Um, the Garifuni, Martin. So with an F, Gara G, obviously Garifuni, fascinating culture. And I've been to their town. It's quite a number of years ago, and that's right in that little wedge. You have to get there by boat from Rios Grande in Guatemala, but it is Guatemala, but it's really kind of related. There's some Garifuni in Belize as well. Belize is another sort of interesting thing. Look at this huge resort development through here. One of the challenges apparently now is so many of the beautiful beaches in Jamaica are now owned by these high-end resorts, taking away access for the local population. We're clearly turning to come into port. I'll be very interested where we dock, which side. So I was looking all that up. But it's an interesting place to be here. I'm thrilled to be sailing in. You can see that they've got the thrusters on the back of the ship. I'm trying to ignore the fact that I see all this exhaust coming out the ship, but it's a little hard to do. Um, but you can hear, I guess they're big trucks I'm hearing out the distance. Now you see housing developments. So there's a few million people on this island. Jamaica is really quite small too. Cuba's huge, right? And Haiti and Dominican Republic, it's a big island, but it's a lot of people. And of course, the Haitian side is mostly deforested. It's lovely to see all this green out here. And of course, one of the great contributions to humanity that the Jamaicans have made is that Rasta culture, Bob Marley and One Love and all that sort of beautiful kind of tradition. Although I do understand that Jamaica has become distinctly intolerant towards LG, LGBTQ people and 2S plus people and so forth. So many people who may fall on that spectrum end up, well, mostly going to Canada. So interesting bit of history. You can just see us curving around the front here. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, so it's just a nice morning little connect. So we'll have to share this. So there's me in the morning. I was up on the upper deck, which was fun. I did a little video, and then I went to the gym and just stretched out a bit. And now I am going to go and wake my kid up, and so we can get off. And if we find that it's busy, we want to get the most out of this, obviously, and it'll be nice. But it looks like it's muggy, but it's a very manageable kind of temperature. See how curly my hair is when I get into these humid places. Je vous en prie. Thanks, everyone. Feel free to share this, and maybe someone can send me a message and see what time my Facebook Live is up according to your time, and then I'll know which time to put it out today. But there is a pedestrian zone in the town, so I'm looking forward to sharing that and some of the Georgian architecture that you get in Falmouth. And then otherwise, we're totally going out for lunch today and having, well, Finn wants oxtail, which is something new, especially here, and it goes back to food of the enslaved people. So, and Finn is such as many people know such a food person. So lots to look forward to. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks for hanging out here. We're obviously turning around, so we're going to lose our views. Oh, it's raining way out there, but that's Cuba way, way, way up there, but you're not going to see it from here. So 9 p.m. Nat. Thank you. Hold on, I'll just do the math on that because I think you're 6 hours ahead of me in the Netherlands line. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Okay, now that's interesting too. All right, hi Rosie. I will try and work that out. All right, well listen, big hugs everyone. I realize it's last minute, but you're welcome to watch the replay and share it or whatever you'd like to do. And yeah, you see the YouTube channel. It's really growing. Some of the little shorts help. So, but if you can invite people to sign up and join this YouTube, it seems to be streaming better than Facebook does now. Who knows? All right. Finn will do a hook for you.